Hey, what's up? This is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. Now, who's ready for some fighting words? In this video, I want to talk about the resurgence of the Soultaker himself, Tenzu. Really quick, if you like the videos, please take the time right now. Subscribe to the channel. Literally takes one click. Also, while you're doing that one click, hit the thumbs up button because it shows love and it supports the channel. We're jumping right in. Like I said, the return and resurgence of the Soultaker. Everything I said was spot on. All you got to do is be relaxed, be calm. And he said it. You know, I'm going to mention something because somebody messaged me and they said, basically, you're putting way too much emphasis on the fact that this man got married. You're putting way too much emphasis on the fact that, you know, he fell in love and he got married. No, I'm not. He actually said after the fight, it was the energy from the people in Newcastle, in which case I said him fighting at home was going to be huge for him. Not just because he's fighting at home, because anybody who fights at home is going to be huge for them. But when you've been on the outs and you've been on a down streak, and then you have the love and the support and the camaraderie of your countrymen and women cheering your name, because it's bigger than you. It's us. It's us against this guy tonight. That helps. He said it not once, not twice, but 3 times. It was the energy of Newcastle. Then he said throughout the week, I just feel so good. I have my wife at home. I just feel so good. I feel so happy. I feel so at home. Why? Because now he's complete. He's a married man. He's entered into the fellowship of the ring. He's a married man, and now he feels complete. He has the support of his wife. When he goes on his morning run, he has the support of the community and the people of Newcastle. I said those things, and I got knocked for it. And that's exactly what he credited his win to. That's what he credited his win to. And he flat out said, I hope to have more fights here in Newcastle. If I don't, then maybe, you know, my children will fight here. In which case his wife said, I don't think so. But more than likely, it's probably what's going to happen anyway. So let's get into this fight. Joey Spencer was off all week. I mean, first it was the allegations of, you know, we don't have, you know, fair judging. You know, all the judges are Australian. And, you know, I get it. You're in enemy territory, so I'm not going to knock him for that because I get it. You know, you don't feel safe. But you know what? If you come to do your job and you come to get your man out of there and you believe you have the skills to do so, or you just believe you have superior skills, judging won't matter. Let me say that again. If you have superior skills and you come to do your job, judging won't matter. And that was on Joey Spencer's mind all week. Then the day of the fight, they ripped the cameras so nobody can see inside his dressing room. And if you need any more evidence of a tell that maybe somebody's worried, listen, let's just say the cameras are in there. Let's just say that they are conspiring some great strategy and plan in that dressing room. What amount of time does Tim Tszyu really have to prepare for that great plan of theirs? 0, none. He didn't have any time to plan for it. So it doesn't really matter. He's going to have to do what he's got to do, and he's going to have to do what he planned to do anyway. He doesn't have any time to set up a plan for what you're talking about in that dressing room. So it really doesn't matter. It's so close to fight time, it's irrelevant. You could literally literally take your game plan and send it to the room of Tim Tszyu and say, hey, this is all the things we plan on doing tonight. Because there's no way he can prepare for it. He can be aware of it, but he cannot prepare for it. So it doesn't matter. Now, let's just get into this fight. Joey Spencer looked fidgety. And I think what that was I think, and I said this in my previous videos, I think the overall concept was that Tim Tszyu was a wounded animal. Let me tell you something about wounded animals. They're their most dangerous when they're wounded. Why? Because they can't run. That's why they're more dangerous, because they can't run. Which one do you think is more dangerous? An animal in the wild or an animal in the zoo? The animal in the zoo, because he's unpredictable. He's more dangerous. There is literally nowhere for this animal to run. So he's going to lash out at all cylinders. And you look at Tim Tszyu. He was composed. I don't think I've ever seen him more precise with his punching. And once he got into his flow, and I mentioned that, being in the flow, being in the moment, being in the flow. And sure enough, that's exactly what he was. He was just spot on. I mean, like, I've seen him turned on before, but I've never seen him turn. He was hitting the target spot on. Crisp punching. Everything landed. After the fight, you know what he said? Because it was noticeable how much of in the flow he was. And he said, "Oh, I was watching David Benavidez and I just wanted to throw a lot of punches." He's like, the main thing for me was getting the distance. Joey Spencer is slick. He is fast. And it's everything I said, you know, in my fight breakdown. He's slick, he's fast, and he's cutting. His head is never center line. He's always moving. But it was the body work. And everybody was talking about, you know, it's funny. Everybody was talking about the body punch that set it off, where Joey Spencer, he dropped his hands and he acknowledged how much it hurt because he nodded at Tim and then he backed up. But Tim was throwing body shots from round one. He was investing. That's what it means to invest. I'm not trying to do it now. If it happens now, great. I'll take, you know, full advantage and I'll capitalize on what's happening now. But if it doesn't happen now, I'm just putting money in the savings account. That's all I'm doing. I'm putting money in the bank because I know eventually the building is going to fall if I keep chopping away at it. And sure enough, it was round four where Joey had to admit, all right, these things are really starting to take their toll. And he couldn't disguise it anymore. He couldn't hide it anymore. And he couldn't fight it off anymore. He had to physically back up and he had to physically say, okay, nodding his head, I'm going to fight. And that's what I talk about when I say mental toughness. That's what I talk about when I say durability. Because one thing you got to give Tim Tszyu, you knock him down, he's getting back up. Everybody's saying that, oh, Baclaram beat him up. That's true. Baclaram did beat him up. But the thing that I credit Tim Tszyu with is his ability to stand back to his feet and ask for more punishment. You look at Ryan Garcia and we look at Devin Haney. So many people are quick to say, oh, Devin Haney got beat up. But nobody wants to acknowledge the amount of character that Devin Haney showed in the fight against Ryan Garcia. Somebody who was juiced up. And Devin Haney continued to get back to his feet and continue to march forward. A defensive fighter by nature continued to march forward. You got to give him credit for that. And Joey Spencer lacked that. He didn't have that. And that's why he didn't get mental toughness in my fight breakdown. There's a reason to my logic here. And that's the reason why he didn't get it. Now, had the tables been reversed, and that would have been Tim Tszyu, he would have said, bring it on. He still would have marched back into the fire. He would not have backed up. And yes, I get the argument. It could have cost him, but it didn't in this case. And it probably wouldn't have against somebody like a Joey Spencer. It's only somebody like a Baclaram. I don't care who it is. Anybody who fights an Eastern European fighter is not going to look amazing. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Canelo. I don't care if you're Terrence Crawford. I don't care who you are. You're not going to look amazing. You might win, but you're not going to look amazing. It's not going to be the best performance of your life. It's going to be a very endearing performance in your life because you're going to say, I got through that guy. But it's not going to be the best performance of your life. I can guarantee you that. So he looked amazing. He looked amazing. And he was going to close it out. Referee said, well, the corner saved him. The corner saved Joey Spencer. Listen, I get it. He's young. I get it. He's fast. I get it. He's a guy who fights with finesse. But Tim Tszyu was... And he mentioned this throughout the entire week. Redemption story. You're a part of my redemption story. Yes, I've had a bad few fights, but you're a part of my redemption story. What does that tell me? That tells me that if Tim Tszyu would have had to been carried out of the ring, he was willing to do that on the night of. That's what it tells me. You see, we have Joey Spencer. And I'm not knocking him. He fought valiantly. But I have to say this. The difference is, when I say mental toughness, you would have to carry Tim Tszyu out of there on a stretcher or a body bag. While you look at Joey Spencer, you wouldn't have to do that. That's the point that I'm making. However, I want to give Joey Spencer's team some credit because they realized this is not going to get any better. And it was early, and they realized this is not going to get any better. And they threw the towel in. You know, we're going to live to fight another day. While you look at Tim Tszyu's team with the Baclaram fight, it was like, What do you guys think? Rock, paper, scissors? All right, I won that round. I guess Timmy's gonna fight another round. You can't do that. That's somebody's life. That's some lady's husband. That's some father's son. That's some brother's brother. You cannot do that. But they did it. Joey Spencer's team realized this is not going to get any better. Joey's team realized, I don't think he's going to be able to bounce back from this because, again, Tim put so much real estate and stock into those body shots. I don't think he's going to be able to bounce back from this. Now his hands are low, and now he's just there for open head shots. And because they're body shots, his legs are gone. I don't think he's going to be able to recover from this and come back. He might get a second win, but I can't take that chance with his life. That's his life, not my life to play with. It's his life. They did the right thing. They threw the towel in. They did the right thing. Now, I want to talk about what's next for Tim Tszyu. There are a lot of options on the table. We could have a rematch with Fundora, although I don't think so. I personally wouldn't like that fight. Not that I wouldn't like that fight. Obviously, I would love that fight. That was like fight of the year, so I would love that fight. But I don't think he's ready for that quite yet. There are other people. There's, Baclaram. Definitely not that fight at all. I didn't at all. Not right now. You have Terrence Crawford. Well, he does. I don't know if they stripped him yet. But realistically, we're talking about these three people. Terrence Crawford is definitely not going to get that. He is diligently advocating for that Canelo fight. So I don't really see that happening. If I were Tim Tszyu, I would make a play for it, but I wouldn't put much stock in it. But I would make a play for it. I would go, and I've been saying this, and I'm going to continue to say it. Charlo is back. Go for Jamel Charlo. Yes, you just beat Joey Spencer. Yes, Joey Spencer is your doorway to credibility and your doorway to say, I'm back because I beat a credible guy. But do not jump at the top of the leap just yet. Fundora's on a roll. Bud's on a roll. Baclaram's the one who, gave you PTSD. So no, not right now. There's two people that I would say, Tim Tszyu, if you hear, well, there's three people. If you hear me, this is what you do. You can go for the Keith Thurman fight, which he clearly said, sign the contract, big boy, sign the contract. Doing the whole Mike Tyson with Bob Sapp, sign the contract, which is a great option because that's a great fight. There's another option. There's two more options. We have Jamel Charlo, who's been gone for a very long time. And the last time he was in the ring, it didn't look so good for him. He's got a lot of redemption and to make up for as well. And he's going to have a ton of ring rust. And he's an extremely credible name. And he was the last guy to be undisputed at 154. So it makes a ton of sense for you to go after that guy because he is coming back. Ton of sense for you to go after that guy. There's one other person that would make a ton of sense, a ton of credibility, and would definitely pack out any arena. His name is Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence, who's been gone for a very long time, over 2 years. Last time he was in the ring, he got the crap beat out of him. I think he got the worst beating out of Devin, Tim Tszyu. I think he got a worse beating than those guys. Go after Errol Spence Jr. I think he's a great fight if you're looking to get back into America. You go back into America with the right name. Errol Spence Jr. is the right name. Errol Spence Jr. is the right name. If you want to do Keith Thurman, do it in Australia because the country has fallen in love with Keith Thurman, and I think he equally fell in love with Australia. So it makes sense for you to do that over there. But the overall plan and the overall goal is to get Tim Tszyu back across this way in the world, which, the bigger fights, the Madison Square Gardens, the Astrodome or wherever, not Yankee Stadium, MSG. That's what you want to do. All right. Who's gonna sell those places out? Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, Jamel Charlo. I don't think shooting for Fundora right now is a smart thing to do. I think Fundora and Baclaram need to figure their business out, because I think Bud is really advocating for that Canelo fight. So I think or if he doesn't get that, he wants a big money fight. A big money fight is Tim Tszyu. You put Bud and Tim Tszyu in Madison Square Garden, that's a huge mega fight. You put Bud and Earl Spence in Madison Square Garden, or you go to Dallas, that's a really, really big fight. But first, let's just start off with Keith Thurman, who's hot right now. He came back blazing. I think it's a fun fight. But I think the other two options make a ton of sense. I think the other two options make a ton of sense. Why? Because they didn't leave. They left more or less in a disgrace. Keith Thurman didn't leave in a disgrace. He's coming off a win. He's not coming off a loss. He's coming off a win. In a very impressive, showcasing win. His morale is high. Charlo's morale is somewhere around here. Earl Spence, I don't even know where his mental state is, because I haven't seen the guy. Nobody's seen him, so I don't even know where his mental state is. But if he comes back, and Charlo is definitely coming back, that's the route we take. They're big money fights, they're extremely lucrative, and they're extremely credible. Drop your thoughts down below.